Hey, my Married at First Sight Australia fans. Yes, of course, I got another update video for you guys. I tell you, one thing about the Australia version, there is drama always going on, not only on screen, but off screen. What are we talking about this time? Jesse. Remember Jesse and Claire? We do know that they left a couple of weeks ago or so. However, Jesse got to speak out because it looks like with everything that was going on between these two, he actually does an exclusive with Daily Mail Australia where he talks about no sex, explosive fights that never made it to TV, and even separate living arrangements as he reveals the truth about his marriage to cheating bride Claire. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. Welcome back to Romance Review TV. It's Lady T. Got another update video for you guys regarding Claire and Jesse, Married at First Sight Australia. And without further ado, let's talk about what's going on. So Jesse has opened up about his experience on the show and his doomed marriage that he had with Claire. As I mentioned before, he spoke with Daily Mail Australia where he revealed what really happened after his bride Claire kissed Adam, which was another groom on the show, during that whole wild night out. And he even said he begged the producers to let him leave the show, but they wouldn't allow it. So I'll let you hear everything else for yourself. Sit back, maybe grab a snack, a drink, because yeah, he has a lot to say. And then I'll be back so we can talk about it.
You can't just you can't just walk off set. You can't just leave the apartments and catch your own flight home. You can't do that. They wave the contract in your face. I don't even know if I'm even allowed to be saying this right now. But I just tried my best, and I said, once I found out about the kiss and we went to the dinner party that weekend, and I said to Claire, I want to go home. I'm done with this. I want to go back to Perth. And then the commitment ceremony was the night after, and she still wrote stay. And that still weighs on me, man. Like, if you really wanted to make it up to me, why didn't you honor my request? It wasn't a demand. Yeah. I wanted to go home, right? Why couldn't you honor me like that? Why did you make me stay? And I just can't shake that. Yeah, she was doing it to look after herself. And it's not just this random thought that's in my head. It's there's other things that happen that back that thought up. No, I don't think. I think it's less about any clouds or creating a platform for herself, and I believe it was more about ensuring a redemption arc.
Do you think Claire was pressured by producers to confess to you, or do you think that solely came from Harrison knowing and Harrison was going to confront her?
Good question, because I am not privy to just how much pressure production did put on Claire. I don't know that answer, but I do know that Harrison would have been more than happy to point the finger and say, hey, I know something about you, Claire, and listen, of course you're going to get on the front foot when you know you're about to be exposed and fess up. And I hate seeing this. I hate watching Claire back on MAFS, and I'll give her the I guess the honor of sorry man, this is tough. It's very tough. I can't even fucking get my sentence out right now.
Were you surprised watching your relationship back?
I was amazed watching. Not amazed. I was shocked watching our relationship play out on screen. And yes, I do believe that Claire, she would be thanking her crystals and star signs for the edit that she got, man, because she said and did some crazy stuff on set. And I actually went through filming trusting the edits. That I remember on the honeymoon, it was the first fight Claire and I had, and I remember thinking to myself, oh man, I don't have to worry one bit about if I'm going to be a villain, because she just said some crazy stuff. And there I am watching our honeymoon 6 months later, and they're showing none of it. And I can't compute. I can't understand. And then I watched the rest of the season play out and just surrender that for some reason they chose her to be the angel of the season, or one of the angels of the season, and that freaking cheating on me, gaslighting the shit out of me about it, and keeping it secret for a couple of weeks. That is a supervillain on a silver platter. A supervillain on a silver platter, and they're like, "No, we'll take care of her." It's almost criminal. The imbalance and the injustice I felt. I can't even explain it to you, man. So, and how this relates to your original question of, did I see production, looking out for her? I didn't see it physically with my own eyes. Like, yeah, I'd see her go up and say hello to production, but we all would go up to the production staff and say hello. So I was we just had this weird sixth sense that something didn't feel right, but we couldn't pinpoint it. We couldn't give an example in real life, but now we can, because we're looking at the edit now, and it's like, how is this happening?
So watching the edit back for you, how was that for you mentally? Like, did you have the support system around you?
Not particularly. Like, yeah, I had a bunch of friends text me and say, "Hey, hope you're doing okay." But that really, of the 100% that I'm experiencing, text messages from your friends, as much as I appreciate and am grateful for them, really only reduce my suffering by a very small amount. No one can truly empathize with my experience. And that goes as far as even the cast members, because none of them went through a freaking cheating scandal and was denied an opportunity to leave and was pressured by production to forgive and continue, and had suspicions that their partner isn't here for the right reasons. So it was so hard to watch this back. And yeah, mentally, I absolutely struggled. I actually stopped watching. I watched the first 4 episodes and saw how they showed none of Claire's bad behavior from the honeymoon, and made it out like I'm this full-on ick guy and who shushes women. Dude, that is insane. It's absolutely insane. And I had to turn it off. So I actually didn't even see episodes 5 to 12. And it was when, I think it was when Janelle messaged me and said, "Hey man, things are starting to turn around for you. You can turn the TV back on," that I started watching again.
You mentioned Claire's behaviour at the honeymoon. What was it that viewers didn't see?
They didn't see... Okay, so it was obvious between production and myself and Claire that we're pretty much mates on the honeymoon, and there's no real romance about the place. And I was the first to kind of bring that up with Claire. And what I was hoping to be a conversation of, Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. Let's see what we can do to enhance the romance here. It was met with complete defense, man, and honestly, this is where I get a bit nervous because I know that what I'm about to say is in like attack of Claire, but it's also the freaking truth, and I'm warring right now. Warring. She just got really angry in that moment. She got very defensive and very combative. She even accused me of gaslighting her because I said, "Why are you getting so angry about this? There's not much romance here. Let's see what we can do about it." And she's just defense. I said, "Why are you getting defensive?" And she's like, "I'm not getting defensive. You're gaslighting me." Which, how ironic is that? How ironic is that? She would accuse me of gaslighting her because I'm going insane.
No, I felt like you were very isolated during filming. You're always on your own. Every time I saw you on your own, doing your own thing.
I felt completely isolated. I felt like Claire very much enjoyed having her own space, and me not being in it. I felt because I didn't have a best friend on MAFS. My best friend, who was supposed to be my wife, freaking kissed another dude, and then didn't honor my request to leave and made me freaking stay and have to endure a redemption arc for her. I felt completely isolated. I didn't have a best friend. Like Ollie and Rupert were so tight, man. And I was so envious of their friendship, man. So, I mean, the short answer to your question is yes. I felt very isolated.
I feel like you were able to make a lot of good friends on the show. Can you sort of tell us about your relationships with who you've made friends with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the strongest connection I've made with anyone in the cast is definitely Janelle. Probably because we went through the same thing. Absolutely because we are both from the same city. And I think next to Janelle would probably be... it's probably a tie between Cam, Duncan, and Harrison. I know a lot of the viewers will hear Harrison's name and just probably be shocked at that. And I just want to remind everyone, they're only seeing 1%. And Harrison was always there for me. He never did anything wrong by me. And our friendship has continued and will continue since the show and ongoing from here.
Do you feel like the experts matched you with the right person? Well, obviously not, but do you think that was a setup?
Ooh. I think the show, I might get so fucked on by Channel 9 for doing this, bro. Especially the way I'm going to answer this next question. I've been in chats with the audition, not the audition, what do you call it, the sign-up process or something?
The application?
Application, yeah. I've been in talks with application process since April, right? And filming doesn't start until August. So that's a handful of months there that I was in back and forth in contact. I believe that in my early interviews, they had shortlisted a villain because I'm covered in tattoos. I've got long dark hair. I'm a marriage celebrant, right? So I think in their minds, they were like, wow, imagine if we get a marriage celebrant on the show and he cheats. Imagine that. So I think they had me pigeonholed as a villain, right? And I think they were scurrying to find a match for me because I know that they were talking with Claire for a lot less time. I can't remember. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, so don't quote me precisely on this, but I'm confident Claire said she was reached out to 3 weeks before filming. Now, I can't be too sure, but I swear I remember her saying that. There is a little bit of doubt in me. I remember hearing that and thinking, 3 weeks? Yeah, I've been talking to them since April, maybe even March. Which also would explain why my week 1 was all Jesse's the villain. Maybe it didn't matter what came out of Claire's mouth. They had already decided this guy is so villain material. So let's start the edit of him being a villain, because we've got money that's how he'll turn out anyway, which was not the case. It's actually the exact opposite.
Okay, so we are back. Yeah, that was a lot. And he broke out a lot of information, opening up about his experience on the show and his doomed marriage with Claire. It's interesting how Jesse wanted to leave the show, but producers would not allow it. And a lot of that has to do with the contract that they've signed. Once you sign a contract, you are locked in no matter what, and they can extract whatever drama, scenes, informations they want to show or not show. Jesse also believed that Claire kept writing stay at the commitment ceremonies to kind of rebuild her image and look after herself. I mean, I did a video on that before in that regard, and I'll link it to this video, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I will say that some of you guys jumped in my comment section and was pretty much saying how this season was a lot different than previous seasons because we got a lot of influencers and actors and everything on the show, whether they're building a platform or followers or whatever the situation is, building up their businesses. It's just interesting to watch because it kind of take away from the whole thing about the romance. Yes, I know a lot of us like the drama, but I like when couples actually end up together and we can actually see a future with them. Then the whole thing with Jesse was shocked to see how their relationship played out on screen, with Claire being portrayed as an angel despite cheating and gaslighting. And that's the interesting. They can take a nice person in real life and make them look like the villain. All it is about perception when it comes to the fans. And then they can take an absolute horrible person and turn them into an angel depending on how the clips are displayed. So I can totally understand how that's done. It happens all the time. The other thing he talked about, despite not witnessing any favoritism from the producers firsthand, he felt a weird sixth sense that something didn't feel right. And usually when you remember how things play out as you go through the process, and then when they're actually displayed on screen 6 to 8 months later, you're like, well, wait a minute, that didn't happen. Well, wait a minute, I didn't say that. That was a different scene. So a lot of the fans, and like I said, not the fans, but a lot of the cast members, I do have communication, at least with some of the ones here in the States, have actually said that didn't happen like that. What happened was this, and they switched scenes around. So I can totally understand where he's coming from with that. Jesse also said how he stopped watching after episode 4 as he was portrayed as a misogynist while Claire's bad behavior was neglected. You know, I know that a lot of people, there's a video that I did with a journalist that I posted on my TikTok where she was saying the exact same thing of how the men on this season have been portrayed more of being bad guys, and even the opposite for the women. And if you haven't checked that out, I'll let her speak for herself. I did post that to my TikTok. Also, Jesse was first to bring up the lack of romance between them, but Claire got defensive and accused him of gaslighting her. My thing is, if you don't come to the show for the right reasons, this is usually what the outcome is. I mean, if in fact you're trying to cover up something, whether it's male or female, it's usually going to come out to the light. And hey, as they say, whatever's done in the dark always come out. Jesse said he struggled to watch the show back because he didn't have a support system to help him cope emotionally. There have been, over the years, with a lot of the reality TV shows, where people have come out saying that they needed counseling, that they were emotionally and mentally damaged. We got to remember, these are not people that have went to acting school and they prepped themselves to get into Hollywood. These are everyday people who either were recruited or they sign up for a show about love, romance, challenges, and then realize that it's more about the drama of it all. And a lot of times what they think is happening is not happening. And especially if they're being portrayed as the villain, when they know and their family and friends know that they're good people, usually this is what happens. And a lot of time, if there's no support system, which I think sometimes these shows should offer that, because they should, I guess, know what happens. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do. I don't want to say that they don't. But if they don't, I think they should offer some type of counseling for these cast members because of what happens, especially if there's a narrative being portrayed about them. Jesse claimed he felt imbalance and injustice in the show portrayal. I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier with what that other young lady or that journalist said, that I posted that video on TikTok. And then finally, Jesse lifted the lid on a crucial moment between him with Claire that wasn't aired. That's one thing about the show. They will portray things in a certain light, and sometimes things that should be aired isn't. And especially if there's a specific storyline that they already have planned for each character or each cast member, they're not going to air anything that's going to go against that storyline. And that is so unfortunate because you know what happened, but because it's not aired, the fans don't know that it happened. And so when they're trying to speak up, the fans are like, well, what are you talking about? We never saw that. We only get to see less than 1% of the thousands and thousands and thousands of filming that is done from any of these shows. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you give people a hard time and why are you so objective? This is the reason why. So as much as I do talk about the drama on the show, the other part of it is I see the objective side of it as well. So that's why I also talk about and do the recaps, but I also talk about and do the updates as well to keep everybody in the know and, let everybody know what's going on. So I wanted to share this with you. I know it's a little long, but I just wanted to put that out there for you guys, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section on what you think about all of this. Okay. And until the next recap or update, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye.